Well, the shortest speech ever by a finance minister. Of course, it's a vote on account or an interim budget. Not many and not much big bang announcement expected, but yes, two to three key factors that really made the headlines out of this interim budget was, of course, housing and infrastructure, and of course, the focus on renewable energy as well. And I'm joined by one of the strongest pillars of the union budget that we saw right now, Mr. Anshuman Magazine from CBRE. Thank you, Anshuman, for joining us. Give us your first remarks on the budget. What does it entail for the sector and your overall viewpoint?
Okay, first of all, yeah, it was a short budget, which was expected as a budget on vote on account. On the real estate sector side, she talked about housing, of course, especially housing for women, rural women. 2 crores new housing will be constructed in by 2025. You know, there has been a scheme of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana, which has been both for rural and urban areas. Actual housing has been, low-cost housing has been constructed there. So the target of 2 crores is great for next 2 years. Hopefully, a lot of that housing will come in place. But overall, I would say the key takeaway from this budget is, I would say 2-3 things. One is that capex increase, so they are continuing to invest in infrastructure, which is required, and that will keep the economy going. So that I think there's an 11% increase or whatever the percentage is. That was the key announcement. Second was that the target of fiscal deficit of 5.1% in 25 and 5.4%. I think that is a great direction. She of course talked about tourism, which is important, green, alternate energy. And many other things. But primarily, what I expect is, that it'll be the next budget in July, and she mentioned about that, where we'll know the specifics, because there were many other things we were expecting. One of the key areas in housing in particular is that affordable section of the housing sector is not doing that well right now. Overall housing is doing well, which is very positive, but the affordable sector, because in 2022, a lot of the incentives were taken back or reduced, and that has had a direct impact on affordable housing.
Correct.
But overall, where the both supply and the demand is reduced. I'm hoping in the next budget that those will be reinstated and there will be stimulation, because end of the day, anything in construction or housing has a multiplier impact on many industries.
It's often said, Anshuman, often said that, real estate is a very strong indicator of a good economy. Because it drives the infrastructure growth, also it drives jobs as well, and formulation of a circular economy as well. I would like to take your opinion on the subsidy that the government was planning to do, and we did a rough calculation about 15 to 18,000 rupees savings is being averaged. So any remark on that?
This is subsidies what?
For those rooftop solar panels.
Yeah, I think the rooftop solar was very interesting, because end of the day, electricity costs in our country is high.
Correct.
Right, and there have been elections, people have won by just giving subsidies and that, and a lot of pilferage and a lot of inconvenience. So rooftop solar and solar in particular is the way to go. And according to her statement, 1 crore people are going to benefit from this, which is fantastic. And this also reduces so much pilferage cost. Great move, and she mentioned an alternate energy is the way to go, and I'm glad that was mentioned in the budget.
Sure, and also, what's your comment on the establishment of 1 lakh crore rupee corpus with a 50-year interest-free loan? How would this benefit the Aam Aadmi, to say so?
I must say that was very impressive, to be honest, because end of the day, you need to pump in to very basically money in the economy. You have to flood it with money for consumption to increase, for businesses to be set up, and that's what keeps the economy going. So this really means that someone who wants to start a business, they can because the biggest challenge is for stimulating an economy is how to provide low-cost funding for a long term. So here, 50-year period, low-cost funding, exactly that's what the government is doing. I think I'm glad you mentioned, because I think that was one of the, I would say, top announcements. Of course, we have to read the fine print, what it will be, but certainly the intent of providing loans at a low cost for a long period is really stimulates, for people to come out and set up businesses, and that has its own impact.
I'll move a bit away from the announcement, and I'd like to ask you, the affordable housing bit. The government has been very proactive in, making outreaching efforts towards affordable housing. This interim budget was a bit muted towards affordable housing, but yes, did significant announcements. Do you think the government could have done more when it comes to affordable housing or constructing houses, and in fact doing some announcements on water-related issues and Har Ghar Jal Nal Yojana also? Any remark on that?
Absolutely, there's always, our country is so vast, there's always more to be done. It's never enough, and especially for affordable housing. The positive part is that government is constructing itself low cost housing. Correct. And that's why they mentioned 2 crores, they've already constructed 3 crores. So this is showing on the ground. But the affordable housing, which is, in urban areas, semi-urban areas, where people still, there is shortage of housing, like I mentioned, nothing was, they did mention it, but what would stimulate that demand or even supply was not mentioned. And I'm hoping in the next budget that there are incentives given, for example, the tax deductions make a huge difference, right? Incentives for developers to construct, because right now, frankly, most people don't have incentive to even construct low-cost housing because the cost of money is high. We have got GST. There's no tax incentive, and we have regulators on top of them. Land prices are high. So, what is the incentive to even for someone to build low-cost housing, or affordable housing?
That's very interesting because with the global developments, we saw the input costs like cement, steel also go up significantly, which led to prices of automobiles also. And houses as well. So, when you talk about incentives and empowering the developers, what 2 to 3 key areas you think the government could have given a tax break or some kind of a relief to developer there?
There are 2-3 major areas. One is for affordable housing category, and they need to change the definition from 45 lakh rupees more because the cost has gone up. Sure. But once you define the affordable housing, there was a time they used to get 100%. What we call tax exemption if they're doing affordable housing. So give any incentive, because end of the day the purpose is that construction activity take place, which will bring jobs, which will stimulate steel, cement, many other industries, and provide housing for the poorer section of the economy. So that tax benefit. Second is GST. Government took out the input credit out of that. So today, if that GST relief can be given, because everything, government is any use getting GST in steel, cement, reduce that for affordable housing. Just make it cheaper so right now for the percentage of steel, cement, GST you're paying, if that is reduced only for affordable housing, that will make a difference. So on the supply side, that can be done. And the demand side, of course, you have to give tax benefits on interest you're paying on loans and also on the principal. And that itself will make it cheaper for people to buy houses.
Right, last 1 or 2 questions before I let you go. It's been a long day for you as well. I'd like to also ask you on the tax front. The government proposed no tax changes for the next 3-4 months until the next budget comes in June or July. Do you think it was a fine move, and empowering taxpayers could have been a move in for 3-4 months, or you think in the next July probably some good announcements could come in?
I think because it was vote on account, the government may have been conscious of the fact they don't want to do anything popular, so they're not accused by saying that elections are coming in. I'm hoping that if something is done in July, and the finance minister has said, and of course she's quite confident that she'll be back in that position, that they will roll out their plan of Viksit Bharat. So we really looking forward for that, and I kind of support that they've not announced any tax benefits. Of course, it would have made a big difference if they had, but it's a matter of few months, and I'm just hoping that it's done at that time.
Well, matter of few months. That was Anshuman Magazine talking about how the government was pretty confident in its announcements, and some of the 2 to 3 significant announcements that were done were actually being appreciated by the industry here. Of course, the industry, on the contrary, looking to have some tax breaks or some relief to ensure affordable houses are constructed without any hindrances. Thank you, Anshuman, for joining us.
Thank you.
Pleasure as always to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you.